I'm willing to take on the establishment and take on those fights that we need to have. And there's no greater place than Washington, D.C. right now where we need that type of bold leadership.
Hey, folks, the Utah Senate race just got blown wide open by Rhino Mitt Romney. He just announced he is not running for the Senate, and that puts a friend of the show and America First patriot, Mayor Trent Staggs, in the driver's seat. Folks, Mayor Trent Staggs is in the driver's seat, and he is heading straight toward the finish line. We got to get him there, right? Get him over that finish line. We've had him on the show before, and you all loved him, and now I'm going to bring him back. Just on the other side, Mayor Trent Staggs is going to tell you all about the crazy establishment and what they are trying to do and what he will do if elected to the Senate and how he will protect our constitutional rights and represent the great people of the state of Utah full force with conservative values. We need more patriots in the Senate. Too much is on the line to take this lightly, folks. I'm really excited to share this interview with you. Let's get right into it. I'm so happy to have you, Trent Staggs, the mayor of Riverton, Utah, on the air and candidate for Senate. I am so excited. We were just talking a little bit before we got on the air here, and you were telling me you are getting some big endorsements. My friend, former Ambassador Rick Grinnell has now endorsed you, and who else? This is exciting.
That's right. I mean, national conservatives like Mark Levin and Charlie Kirk and Carrie Lake is coming out on Monday here, the 18th in Utah, to lend some support. And I'm just really humbled by all the support that we're getting, and it just demonstrates that I am the conservative in this race. We've got tons of local support as well, with mayors and city council members and county commissioners all across the state. So we've been in this for 3 months. We were the only ones that had the courage to take on Mitt Romney. Yeah. And that's being rewarded now, I think.
What was your reaction to Senator Romney's decision not to run for another term? I thought that was pretty telling.
You know, I honestly wasn't that surprised. Having been on the campaign trail the last 3 months, we've done town halls across the entire state, and I just kept hearing over and over again, we're not voting for this guy. I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That was the popular refrain, and folks knew it. They were wise to it. We were calling it out constantly, saying, hey, look, 5 years ago, did this video, balanced budget, I'll stop illegal immigration, federal spending and overreach, and I'll appoint conservative justices. It hasn't been his record at all. And so we pointed that out consistently, and that he votes for Biden 60% of the time. He supported and encouraged Biden to run for president. We have this disastrous administration largely as a result of Mitt Romney and people like him. So people were wise to it, and I think he saw the writing on the wall, and we like to think that we had a big part in that.
Well, he did say, it's up to a new generation of leaders. And I think he, as far as conservatives that I speak to, they were very disappointed in Senator Romney and his positions on policy. They saw him not just in the middle, but siding with the left, enormously with the left over and over on all kinds of issues. You talked about the border, and I think this is a very important issue that's going to be a central focus, not just the economy, but the border come 2024 too as well. Talk a little bit about how that border is affecting Utah. Everybody says, it's every state is a border state. And what are the challenges for you as you see in the future, especially when it comes to illegal immigration?
It is. It's sadly the case now that all 50 states are border states. And we've just seen a flow of illegal immigrants come across. I mean, it's estimated at least 6 million people. And I point out that's twice the population of my state. I mean, we only have 3.2 million people. And to have that many people come through as a mayor, I've had my chief of police contact me and say, you know what, we just saw a bus show up and dropping people off. We have no idea who they are. So it's happening across the country. It's really disgusting to me that the Washington establishment doesn't care They don't care about average Americans. They just don't. They could easily fix this problem. President Trump wanted a border wall. We need that wall immediately. We need the Remain in Mexico policy. We need E-Verify.
Right.
There's all kinds of folks that are coming here, working. They're stealing the Social Security numbers of our kids so that they can go and work. And of course, anybody who has committed a felony, they have to be out of here. It can never come back. Or, if it's a serious enough crime, they need to be punished immediately.
One of the big issues, and you brought up, E-Verify, the fact that we are not actually beyond just E-Verify. We're not actually verifying who the people are that are coming in our country that could possibly be connected to terrorism. And we've already apprehended a good number of people at the border that are directly connected to terrorist networks. And that's been a big part of my work, covering the war in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and understanding that groups like Al-Qaeda have not gone away. Islamic State has not gone away. Of course, the issue of criminality as well. People that are coming across the border that may have criminal records that pose a danger as well to our country. Does that concern you? Especially now that you're looking at a Senate seat, I mean, you're going to have a lot of influence in how I think the United States legally handles these kind of issues. Is this something that you will fight for, is to try to get more verification of the people that are coming across and shut down that border for those reasons, those national security reasons as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, those national security reasons, the drugs, the human trafficking. Right. I spoke with Congressman Andy Biggs just last month about this issue. I'm set to go down to the border here soon and take a look firsthand. It's just really, it's a disaster. And we are really emboldening these cartels. We have to take action. We have to take action against them because they've taken over effectively. And so, yes, that does concern me from a national security standpoint. It also concerns me that the federal government has metastasized and grown so much and doing so much that it now is failing. It's utterly failing at the few and defined roles and responsibilities it's supposed to have. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, in dealing strictly with naturalization and immigration. It's one of the few things they're supposed to do, and they've completely proven inept at accomplishing that responsibility. Andy
Biggs, one of my favorite guys to interview. I love him on the show because he's so bold, and he, reminds me a lot of you, not afraid to just stand up and say what is important and what he would do to defend Americans, and a real patriot as well. And I think part of that issue, and you made it so clear, but is the fact that the DHS and the federal government is failing. Like, they're literally failing to do their only job, which is to protect the national security of our country and the American people. Alejandro Mayorkas has testified before Congress that, and it's a flat out lie. I mean, there's just no other way to address it other than say it's a flat out lie, saying that they're doing all they can to protect the border, that the border is secure. And now, there are congressional members who, I've talked to Chip Roy. They said, it's impeachable the way they've actually handled the border, the way they've handled national security in the United States. And now there's a possibility for President Biden, I guess on more the congressional level, to be facing an impeachment. The Senate, that's going to be tougher. It's a Democrat controlled Senate, but Mitt Romney said he would not impeach President Biden. If you were in the Senate, would you vote to impeach him?
I think there's plenty of evidence to demonstrate that this Biden crime family, this Biden administration, he's not fit to be president of the United States. It's been a disaster. It really has. And not only should he be, but I think Secretary Mayorkas, that person ought to be impeached because, as you just laid out, he is completely inept. It's either ineptitude or it's intentional, and he's doing this by design. Either way, he needs to be gone. And Mitt Romney, unfortunately, is one of, I think, 5 or 6 Republicans that voted to confirm his appointment. And he's been a complete disaster. We need somebody else in there that's going to take this seriously and secure our border. They've got to do that.
I think that, the Republicans are really, really lucky to have a candidate like you in the run and, representing the great people of Utah. I mean, do you think that you're welcome. You're very welcome. Do you think the people of Utah now are really looking for that America First type of candidate, a candidate that's going to represent them first and foremost and those American values? Because I feel that there has been a lack of that representation happening under the current senator. And I think that's really been the backlash.
I agree with that 100%. And yes, as I'm traveling the state and talking to so many people, that's what they want. That's what Utah deserves. They deserve an America First candidate, somebody that supports their conservative principles. Mike Lee, I think, has done a fantastic job. We need someone of that on that level, really, that is going to go out there and really champion and fight for average, everyday, ordinary Utahns and Americans. That's what I give them. They know that. My 10 years in elected office in Riverton, that's what's typified my career, is that I've always stood up to the establishment. I've cut taxes. We voted to support life in our city council, anti-ESG, fought against inappropriate materials in schools. So it's more than being a fiscal conservative. I'm willing to take on the establishment and take on those fights that we need to have. And there's no greater place than Washington, D.C. right now where we need that type of bold leadership, that type of conviction. And yes, that's what Americans want. That's what Utahns want for sure. And we hope to give them that.
Well, and you're so lucky because you also got the full backing of the Utah Fraternal Order of Police. And I think that's awesome.
Yes.
The union is backing you. It's saying, look, you're a law enforcement supporter. You're a leader as well in that. And I think we've seen across the country a failure of our district attorneys to enforce the law. We've seen what's happened in other cities across the country. It's been a nightmare in Oakland. It's been a nightmare in San Francisco, Chicago, New York. I'm talking about big cities, but we've also seen it in small towns and communities where fentanyl is taken over, or heroin, or, a crime is not being prosecuted the way it needs to be. How do you view the issue of crime, of law enforcement, and what is your position on those issues for your community?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was very humbled and honored to have that endorsement. It was the first one that I received right out of the gate after announcing. So in early June, to have that backing from about 5,000 police officers here in the state. I think around 70% of all law enforcement are members of the FOP, the state FOP. At my website at trentstaggs.com, I say my focus is going to be on smaller government, safer families, and a stronger economy. And under that safer families theme is the Second Amendment, huge proponent of that. And then, of course, for law enforcement, how I've always supported law enforcement. We need that. They need to have that understanding. There's so many federal programs out there that I've been told they make small to medium-sized law enforcement departments jump through so many hoops. They don't have the resources to avail themselves of these things, but we absolutely need to support them. And you're right, the impacts are many, not just through these domestic terrorist organizations, but gangs, with the immigration issue we've seen, the drugs and everything else that's infiltrated. The law enforcement needs our support, and now more than ever, we've got to be able to stop this infiltration, really, of our country. And I intend to do that.
Oh, I think that's awesome. Allegiance Gold, a sponsor of the Sara Carter Show. And as you know, I tell you all the time, in these upside down times, you need to diversify. If you want to protect your assets, you have got to diversify your financing. You've got to protect those assets. And right now you could do that with gold and silver through Allegiance Gold. You can get $5,000. Listen to this. Of free silver for Sara Carter listeners on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that I sent you. All you have to do is say, hey, Sara sent me, and that's it. And you'll get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase. My friends at Allegiance Gold can help you protect your IRA, your 401k, with physical gold and silver, or have it delivered securely right to your front door. Remember, get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara, S-A-R-A, sent you. So don't wait, call or click today. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A, or go to protectwithsara.com. No H. We can't control the Biden administration, folks, but we can prepare. That is 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A, or go to protectwithsara.com. Any other, I'm going to give you one more chance, and then I'm going to ask you where we can go to support your campaign and where we can go and volunteer to help get your campaign through the finish line. But what are the issues that matter most to you? How are you going to make a difference for the people that you represent in the state of Utah, as well as our country? And then tell us where we can go and support you in this great race.
I think smaller government is definitely my biggest theme. That's what I'm hearing across the state. Utahns are sick and tired of all the spending, the trillions and trillions of dollars, the $33 trillion debt that we have right now. I mean, to me, that's the height of immorality. To place that burden on my 13-year-old son, my 11-year-old daughter, all these successive generations. Utahns don't like debt. As a mayor for the last 10 years leading my community, I have balanced my budget. Washington seems to think they're exempt from that. We need to fight on that really hard. It's not a revenue problem. We have more revenue coming into the Treasury than we've ever had. It's a spending problem. We'll work to identify many, many areas, to include the Department of Education with $184 billion, $100 billion plus going to Ukraine. There's many opportunities to cut spending, and we need to do that. That's what I'm hearing first and foremost. So that is how I plan to make a difference right away on the spending front, and to rein in the federal government. I understand federalism as a mayor, proper role of government. I'm pushing back on governmental overreach at all levels, federal, state, county, every single day. And that's what we need in D.C. I'm a big proponent and supporter of Senator Lee's REINS Act to finally restore this power that's supposed to be in Congress, that they've abdicated to these unelected bureaucrats that place thousands and thousands of regulations on us that they're not held accountable because they're unelected. It's a joke. We need to stop that. The REINS Act would go a long way. So those will be huge improvements, I think, for Utahns and for Americans. And I really appreciate the support. I mean, we've picked up now small dollar donations from people across all 50 states. So it shows that this race is important, not just to Utahns, but to conservatives and patriots across the country. At TrentStaggs.com, that's S-T-A-G-G-S, TrentStaggs.com. People can go there to donate. Real appreciative of that, because I am not the establishment candidate. I am an outsider. The thing that concerns me now with Mitt Romney being out is that Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, they're going to find their establishment player and want to support that person in running for this office. So we really need to have the conservatives continue to coalesce around our campaign as they've been doing, and be able to push us forward, like you said, across the finish line. That's it.
TrentStaggs.com. Go to TrentStaggs.com. Any donation, any bit of money, any bit of help, volunteer work, get him over the finish line. Let's get him over the finish line, and let's win back our Senate. Let's win back conservative values. I think this is great. I think this is what makes our nation so great, is that we've seen what other leadership has done, and the American people are speaking out, and they're coming out in droves. I'm glad you got the support of Kari Lake. I'm glad you got that support, that open support of Ambassador Rick Grinnell. I think he's a phenomenal man and a wonderful person. And I can just see more and more people coming forward. And let's just, let's keep people that understand the regular Joe, right? We don't need establishment people in Washington anymore. We need people that are willing to challenge that and who know policy and who know law. Thank you so much, Mayor, for being a part of this show, and soon to be Senator, I believe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Mayor Trent Staggs, for joining us here today on the Sara Carter Show. I know all of you, whether you're in Utah or you're across this beautiful country, supporting candidates that really believe in conservative values. Here is someone who actually does. You don't need Mitt Romney's selection in Utah, folks. You can put someone in there that will actually represent the people. We need to give the next president a Senate full of real American patriots. And I promise to bring you the biggest voices in the America First movement. If you want to make sure you don't miss these guests, then you've got to make sure that you download this podcast and tell all your friends and family about it. The Sara Carter Show. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our great nation. God bless all of those who are willing to take on the challenge and run for office in these crazy times. And God bless the great state of Texas.